Hello. So, in previous session, rather in offline session, we talked about what is a process. So, we defined a process as an instance of a program that is being executed. Now, when we say process is to be an instance, ultimately it contains the program code and its current activity. Now, process is more than just a program itself. If we go into greater details, rather, it includes resources like memory, CPU time, system state, and so on. So, for that purpose, we need to understand one important aspect related to processes, something called as process context. Now, this process context is the state of a process at any given moment or any given timestamp. Now, what it includes information about all the information related to operating system which can be used by it to manage and execute the processes. Now, what it contains mainly, this process context consists of following components. Process control block, okay, which is kind of a data structure used to store information about processes. Further, it contains information about CPU registers, like depending upon architecture, the registers may vary. But when we do talk about Intel architecture, rather, we say that there would be registers like EAX, EBX, CX, kind of general purpose registers. Okay. Or if it is a 64-bit architecture, then they may be named as RAX, RBX, RCX, and so on. So there would be some special registers too, like for example, a program counter, which is like known as EIP or RIP, depending upon the architecture that we are referring for Intel. Further, it will contain a stack pointer, base pointer like ESP, EBP, or RSP, RBP kind of thing. So these are all our CPU registers. So when we address something called as program counter, this program counter, like which is known in Intel architecture as EIP, it holds address of the next instruction to be executed. Now, when we have that instruction address rather to be executed at the next stage, so we will require information about memory management too. Now, this memory management information, which is added into process context, mainly includes information about page tables, information about segment tables, and other memory related information if at all required for it. Further, it contains states the process can be in. So in general, like the states can be known like for the processes to be new, ready, running, maybe executing, waiting, terminated, and so on. Now, if we see this particular image, the screen rather, we have to find out, one can find out that like apart from the data and apart from the text, one can see that there is something called a stack and heap. This stack would be used, the stack segment rather is used rather to store information about all function calls, all local variables, while the heap stores dynamically allocated memory. Further, like apart from the stack and heap, the process context can also contain information about IO status. So, for example, how many files are opened, what are the different network connections used, the different devices used by your process, and so on. And one more thing, one more important thing a process context can contain is the scheduling information, which can communicate via the operating system to the user, like how the execution would be, what would be the order of execution, whether it would be time based, time slice based, or whether it would be priority, or will there be any other mechanism to permit the execution of the processes. Now, when we do talk about process context, this is one of the most important parameter considered whenever we are talking about switching between the processes. Now, when your operating system wants or performs a context switch, then in such a case, this whole process context needs to be saved. Okay, when other process context is to be loaded, and this ensures smooth multitasking within the operating system. Thank you.